Hey guys, Jeff Cannata here with an NLB Mini. I want to do something a little different in today's NLB Mini. I kind of want to talk about a blog piece I read. It's something that I tweeted out recently, and it really affected me a lot. It was Badass Digest has this film crit Hulk character. It's basically the idea that Hulk is reviewing movies. It's a way for a writer to take on this persona of the Hulk, yell at movies, and hide behind anonymity, but I tend to like what he writes. I just read an article called Film Crit Hulk's 237 Burning Questions About Amazing Spider-Man 2. I tweeted it out recently. I'll put it in the show notes on this YouTube video as well. The thing with the Hulk conceit is that it's written in all caps, like the Hulk is yelling smash all the time. So it's a really difficult article to read just because it's in all caps. I really wish there was an auto convert button that would change it to, regular capitalization. But even despite that, it's really long and it's got a lot of stuff that I don't agree with in it. But even despite all that, I really would advise a lot of people to check it out. I think everybody who has seen Amazing Spider-Man 2 should read this article because it really made me think a lot more about a movie that even in the review you can see in this very YouTube channel, I complimented in a lot of ways. I liked a lot more than the first Amazing Spider-Man. I thought it was a deeply flawed movie, as was the first, but that it improved in some significant ways, and I had a good time overall in the theater watching it. And having read this criticism, this very strident, let's say, criticism of Amazing Spider-Man 2 by this Film Crit Hulk article, and sort of the thoughts I've been thinking, talking about it amongst people who had seen it since I had put out my review, because I put out my review before it had come out. I've been thinking more and more about the movie and what it gets wrong, and relating it to Man of Steel, which is another movie that really disturbed me on a fundamental level. And a lot of the points made in that article are not points that I would bring up, kind of criticizing the 9/11 trutherness of the Kurtzman and Orsi's writing background, whatever. All that stuff, whatever. That's not really the stuff that I latched onto with this article. What I latched onto is this idea of what it is to be a hero, and that these cultural icons that we have now, superheroes, that have been around for 60, 70, sometimes even longer years, and really are our modern mythology, and have ascended to a place of prominence in our culture because every other movie that comes out that makes a ton of money is from one of this heritage of characters. And these are characters that are near and dear to my own heart. Characters that I grew up with, that I associated with, that I aspired to be at a time when I was extremely impressionable, at a time when I was struggling with who I was and how I fit into society and felt like an outcast and didn't really have a place to go other than my imagination, and found a respite in these characters and their situations and their adventures and their power fantasies, let's be honest. So I think these characters are important. They are certainly important to me personally, but I think they're important culturally. And they certainly have, because of these big budget, highly attended films that are coming out more and more often now, they are certainly important to a younger audience as well. They are indoctrinating kids into a superhero mythos, which I don't have a problem with. But what I do have a problem with, as this article deftly points out, is how these movies sometimes can get these characters so wrong, and I think lose sight of what makes them relevant. Now, one of the things I talked about in my original YouTube review of Amazing Spider-Man 2 that you can see on this very YouTube channel is that I kind of didn't like the retconning of Spidey's origin story to include sort of magical blood and magical DNA. Oh, I should say, there's going to be some spoilers for Amazing Spider-Man 2, so if you haven't seen it, you might not want to watch the rest of this. So retconning that origin story didn't sit well with me because it took away the universality of Spider-Man, the fact that it could be any kid. But the thing that this article points out so well and really got to me is the fact that what makes Spider-Man special is that he is a kid, and when he gets superpowers, it doesn't magically take away his problems. What Spider-Man always was in the comics was a kid who got powers, and that made his life, if anything, even more difficult, because now he has responsibility with his great power, but he also has to maintain his good grades and get to school and deal with the bully and fall in love and have all those universal high school experiences. But having superpowers isn't a magic dust that wipes all those problems away. It only intensifies them and makes his journey even more universal. It makes those problems. Peter Parker having to take a test or make money, that's a real big part of what who Peter Parker is. Scraping $2 together. Those are as dire situations for him as fighting the Green Goblin and surviving Electro. They are of equal stature in his life because they are both as necessary and both as vital. He can't survive without either set of things, these normal human everyday problems and these superhero problems. And by equating them, to things we can relate to, we really see that those things are important. Peter Parker never once in these two Amazing Spider-Man movies has to worry about any of that. And that is troubling, deeply troubling to me. He does become the coolest guy on the block. He does, in the beginning of this film, swing into his graduation ceremony, sweep the girl off her feet, kiss her, accept his thing, high five people, hop around, be cool. That's not fundamentally who this character is. And more problematic than that, I could even sort of accept him acting out in one sense, but even more problematic than that, we never see Peter having to worry about anything. He never has to worry about anything other than himself. He never has to get a job. He talks vaguely about selling pictures to the Bugle, but we never have to worry about that. He never has to do any school things. We see him graduate, and then what? He's just bumming around at Aunt May's house, siphoning money from her. She's worried about going to nursing school to make extra dollars, which, as is pointed out in this article, is the stupidest way ever for anybody to make extra dollars, is going to nursing school. Okay, long term, whatever. But we never see him do anything other than self-obsess and be morose. There's no altruism. He goes around the city fighting crime, but there's no human Peter Parker-ness. It's just this relationship with Gwen Stacy, which, as I complimented the film in the earlier video, is handled really well and beautifully. And it has these wonderful human moments, but the character himself isn't Spider-Man. And I think that's really a bad thing. The message of this movie, and again, I'll refer to this article because this is not an original thought on my part. This is just something that resonated with me, and I wanted to relate it to you and see how you feel, honestly. Because I'm struggling with how I feel. I think some of these movies, having read this article and seeing the truth in what is pointed out here about what has been done to the Spider-Man mythology in these movies, and seeing kids eat up Spider-Man and who he is, and that what made him special to me when I was growing up has been lost, has been whitewashed out, has been erased and rubbed away, and what we're left with is only the flashy, cool guy, problemless Spider-Man. And again, he acts in a very selfish way throughout this entire movie. Why doesn't he give his blood to Harry? It's bizarre. I don't know. I just wanted to record this video and hopefully refer people to that article because it's something that stayed with me, and it's something that I've thought about a lot since reading it. And I think it's really well written, other than the all caps. And yes, it's weighed down by a lot of bombast and a lot of extraneous points that sort of bring it to crazy town, which even the author admits halfway through. But I think there's a solid point there about the nature of heroism, about the nature of mythology, and about stripping away what makes these characters important and the struggles that they have and what character is. I think the thrust of the article overall is that these movies don't come from a place of character. They come from a place of plot. And that's what the Marvel movies do so well. Marvel Studios movies come from a place of character. They build the plots around who the characters already are because the characters are so strongly written. And Spider-Man should be the strongest written of the characters. He is the most... there's a reason he's the Marvel standby. He's the symbol, the corporate symbol of the company, because he is everything that Marvel stands for, at least for me, a Marvel zombie from way back, which is humanity wrapped in superpowers. That's why I was never drawn to DC characters, because these were gods walking among men, right? Here, in the Marvel world, we have men who are fallible, who have problems, who deal with the same issues I do, and yet they can triumph and deal and fight good and evil as well because they have this great responsibility. I don't know. I just wanted to open up the discussion and record this video and see what kind of response you have to these ideas, because I find this troubling. These are mass market films. These are mass market films that I think are losing sight of what is important about Spider-Man. And it may sound dorky to put that much emphasis on Spider-Man as a cultural thing, as an icon that we rally around, but that's what it is now. That's what it is. These are characters that are as important as any cultural icon. I think these are characters that, a whole generation of children are growing up to emulate, as I did. And this shaped a lot of who I am, is trying to be like Spider-Man. But I don't know if I want kids to be like this Spider-Man. Tell me what you think. I appreciate it. And there'll be more NLB Minis on this channel, so subscribe and like. Thanks.